Greetings and salutations, people of the internet. Austin here, and welcome to part 2 of my Arkham Origins Rewrite series. I hope you enjoyed the first part, and if you're joining me here for the first time today, welcome to the channel, and I hope you get a kick out of today's video. If you need a refresher or haven't watched part 1, last time I ended off that episode with Bruce getting pointed towards the steel mill as he vows to capture Sionis and put an end to the madness that he's brought tonight. And that's where we're going to pick up in this episode. So, Bruce rushes off towards the steel mill to confront Sionis. He makes it to the front of the steel mill and he sees it crawling with Sionis' guards. A few of them mentioning that the boss's right-hand man is inside the building as well, getting things ready. So, Bruce takes them all out, works his way into the steel mill, manages to gain access to Sionis' network and codes, as well as gaining the formula for the glue grenade that'll come into play later, as in the base game. Where things really start to change is when we make it to the drug-making lab. Bruce enters the room, and instead of hearing Sionis getting tortured as in the first game, he sees a familiar face giving orders to the men inside the room. Sionis' right-hand man, Dr. Death. If you're not familiar with Dr. Death, he is the first Batman villain, period. He's one of Bruce's earliest recurring rogues from the comics, though he's come with multiple iterations over the years. This one's a little bit of a combo of sorts, though I'm mainly going with what I believe to be the second version of the characters. In this version, he is Sionis' right-hand man. He makes the custom drugs that Sionis is known for, so it's highly addictive and it's highly damaging to the body. He is also known to make biological weapons so Sionis can sell them overseas. One of the major components that Sionis was hoping to sell in that deal that Bruce broke up in part 1. Go watch that if you need a refresher to what I'm talking about. So yeah, he's giving orders to the men to start shipping out as they're on a quick deadline. Sionis wants them out of Gotham ASAP before the feds crack down on them, or worse, Batman catches up. So while they do that, he locks himself in Sionis' office to go over some last-minute things. Bruce figures if anyone knows where Sionis is going, it would be Dr. Death. So he goes to confront him. After taking out all the mooks in that Predator sequence, he breaks into Sionis' office to take care of Dr. Death. He starts to confront him when he's ambushed by Copperhead and subsequently poisoned, leading into that boss fight later on. During all this, Dr. Death manages to escape, and eventually he becomes a side mission, basically replacing Sionis from Arkham Origins for the side mission, but I'll go over that in more detail when I get to the side mission part of this video series. As I mentioned, will be the last part, unless I end up changing my mind. Anywho, so yeah, he beats Copperhead and gets the information to track the electrocutioner signal because Sionis has called a meeting of all the remaining assassins. So Bruce glides up to Gotham Pioneers Bridge and he manages to get the signal. When he notices a little sniper dot on his chest. Thinking quickly, he dodges out of the way, barely managing to avoid a shot. He quickly activates his detective mode, trying to get an idea of the shooter's location. But there's no one in the immediate vicinity, and he's just ducking behind cover, trying to avoid getting hit. Suddenly, he hears a shot ring out, and a bullet ricochets off the bridge parts and nearly hits him in between the eyes. If not for a last second dodge before the bullet made impact. Realizing that there's only one possible person who can pull off these kind of shots, he realizes he's being targeted by Deadshot. Thinking quickly, he throws a smoke bomb out into the middle of the central pillar, using that as a distraction. He runs off the central pillar, dive bombs down, and starts gliding towards where he perceives to be Deadshot's location. During this portion, which is a prelude to the boss fight, the player will have to use very, very intricate gliding maneuvers in order to avoid getting hit by Deadshot. If they decide to take cover on a roof, they have to move quickly, otherwise Deadshot will manage to find a way to hit the player even if they're hiding behind cover. So the player has to be constantly on the move, otherwise they will take significant damage from Deadshot's assault. Once the player gets close enough to Deadshot, he will retreat into a warehouse he has specifically prepared in this scenario, which basically leads to a copy of the Deadshot fight from the original Arkham Origins game. I know it's a retread of the Two-Face boss fight, but I liked how they did it with Deadshot ricocheting bullets across the bank, and I wanted to use something similar for this, so it's essentially the same. I know that's a little lazy, but I feel in conjunction with the gliding sniping challenge, it adds another part to this boss fight that makes it more unique than it otherwise would have been if it had just been the warehouse challenge. So, after an intense Predator encounter, Bruce finally manages to take out Deadshot, and then proceeds towards the Gotham Royal Hotel. So, Bruce makes it to the Gotham Royal Hotel and sees it's being occupied by Brandon's SWAT team and Sionis' mobsters. After cleaning them out, he enters the hotel after powering up the elevator. Inside the hotel lobby, however, are Joker's goons this time around, instead of the usual Black Mask mobsters he's been fighting up until this point. So yeah, much like it as in the base game, the Gotham Royal Hotel is basically Joker's fun land of horrors and his base of operations that he's rigged to explode alongside a bunch of other buildings in the immediate area. So, now we get to one of the bigger... Okay, big's a little bit of an exaggeration. I'm changing the assassin meeting slightly. Most of it's the same, with a few key differences. First being that Slade has joined back up with Sionis and is acting as his bodyguard. He's watching everything from the sidelines. Firefly's just standing around, just watching as well. Joker is sitting down at the table, munching down on the delicious fruitcake, laughing to himself on occasion. Bane is just sitting there menacingly, and Electrocutioner is playing the game on his phone, as he was in the original. Sionis, fed up with this idiot who failed in the first place, shoots him in the head, and then kicks him out the window, leading to his death and Batman gaining the shock gloves. Oh, before I forget, Shiva is reporting in from a remote location. Remote location. Flubs. I hate them so much. So she's not physically present in the building. So, with the meeting concluded, Firefly, Slade, and Sionis leave the building, with Shiva signing off from her remote location. So, deciding to take down Bane and the Joker and possibly glean some information from them, he makes his way up the Gotham Royal Hotel to the penthouse, fighting Joker's thugs and Bane's militia along the way, and encountering the Joker's twisted horrors that he will soon be bringing to Gotham. Bruce not knowing what the hell he just walked into. So yeah, once he makes it to the penthouse, very few things change. Bruce briefly tries to glean info, but then Joker blows up that construction site, and things remain the same onwards. Bane interferes. We get the first boss fight with Bane. Nothing much changes. Alfred calls the GCPD because he feels Bruce is going to die. They interfere. Bane escapes. Bruce throws a tracker on him, and then we get the free fall scene where Bruce and Joker have a one-on-one. The only minor dialogue change is Joker pointing the gun at Batman after killing the two guys, going, "Newsflash! I'm one of the guys trying to kill you, remember?" He disarms the Joker. Brandon's SWAT team runs in. Bruce escapes. You know what's going to happen. And the Killing Joke segment remains absolutely intact. That sequence is phenomenal. Even if it breaks continuity a little bit by bringing in Harley Quinn, I don't care, because that segment's fantastic. And with that, that is the end of the Joker in this rewrite until the ending credit montage. So yeah, we head back to the Batcave, and Bruce has a little flashback of his own. That segment's in there. Feels necessary to keep in, even if it's really minor. Bruce is beating himself up about letting Sionis, Slade being back, and Bane getting away. Briefly chews out Alfred before trying to track down Bane using the little remote locator he put on him. He's briefly trying, then he gets a police broadcast saying that they mentioning someone who vaguely sounds like Bane in their morgue before the officer is then brutally murdered from the sound of it, and Shiva's voice comes over the police broadcast. She's taken over the GCPD and has Loeb in there held hostage. She's calling Batman out for a one-on-one fight. He is to come to the GCPD immediately, otherwise she will execute all of the officers and prisoners inside. And if she sees any cops try to enter, she will kill them anyway and then kill the trespassing officers. With no choice, Batman hops into the Batwing and heads towards GCPD headquarters. Entering in through the morgue area like he did last time, he sneaks up, taking out Shiva's assassins and martial artists as he does so until he comes face to face with Shiva. Throughout all of this, he's been routinely saving a few police officers, with Shiva's voice over the intercoms questioning, why is he bothering saving these corrupt officials and filth of Gotham when it would be so much simpler just to kill them all? Very much following Ra's al Ghul's edict and protocol. So yeah, he comes face to face with Shiva in the main holding cells. All the cells are either filled up with cops or dead/dying criminals. Shiva's standing in the middle of the room with her sword pointed at Commissioner Loeb's throat. Him mouthing off and beaten up a little bit as he stares at her and Batman, demanding that he save him before Shiva murders him. Shiva gives Bruce an ultimatum. Join her and help cleanse Gotham, or she'll kill Loeb and then Batman. Naturally, Bruce refuses, and without missing a beat, Shiva slits Loeb's throat and lets him bleed out on the floor. Bruce, in rage, engages her in battle, and we begin our boss fight. Her new boss fight is very much like her old one, though expanded upon greatly. It still has two phases. First of which is her using her sword in the first half and then switching to hand in the second half. The difference being that she can more easily dodge your attacks, she has more sword combos at her disposal, and she can block your attacks even when in her sword phase, though it's not as easy during her hand-to-hand combat phase. Once you get her down to half health, she will switch up, and then she becomes the fastest enemy in the entire game. easily landing combos if you don't counter them correctly, making her an absolute monster in a hand-to-hand fight. Bruce barely manages to beat Shiva, and even then, it seems more like she was holding back against him than him outwitting her in a contest of skill. As Shiva goes to cut off Bruce's head, and he's barely blocking it with his forearm armor, she ultimately calls off the fight, remarking that Bruce is a worthy candidate for her master's approval, and that they'll be meeting again in the future, and she can't wait for the rematch. With Shiva in the wind, Bruce frees the remaining GCPD officers and contacts Gordon, letting him know that most of the police inside are alive, but Commissioner Loeb is indeed dead, before moving out to track down the body in the morgue. After reaching the body, he sees it's one of Bane's men, and he looks at the autopsy, finding what will ultimately be revealed as TN1 in this poor man's system, still setting that up for the ending battle with Bane. But during this process, he reconnects to the tracker he placed on Bane, and he finds his hideout. With determination and this latest failure fueling him, he heads off towards Bane's hideout, determined to take him down. And with this, we are going to end this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun rewriting the Deadshot and Shiva scenes. If you have any comments on how this is going so far, please put them down below. Let me know how I can improve for the future if I do another one of these rewrite series. What's your favorite part about the rewrite series so far, or just want to say hi? Like and subscribe if you're enjoying today's content. If you're not, sorry. I know this probably isn't great. I had to edit the damn thing, but I at least appreciate you giving me views at the very least. So, with that said, this is Austin signing off. Have a good one, people.